Hi all, this is Siddharth Deshmukh and welcome to the next episode of Sportsy. Let's talk sports. Uh, so today we'll be talking about sports as an industry. And to start with that, I just want to start with what is sports. Sports is something that is any form of competitive physical activity that you do, and it is set by it is governed by set rules. There are regulations. There is a way to play. There are every game has got their own court size and a lot of rules and regulations that you have, and it doesn't need to be a competitive level sports for you to understand what sports is. Whatever you do, in there's a physical activity and there's a competitiveness, that is sports. So yes, that you've been doing, and at the end of it, why are you doing it? Because there's enjoyment into it. So let your kids play, or let go out and do something. It could be indoor sport as well. Let's enjoy what sport is, because sport builds character. It teaches you how do you uh, win, how do you lose, how do you react in those situations. So that is what the whole sports is. So you're always going to have attitude which is amazingly developed because of sports. We are also talking about sports as a different aspect, which is like keeping the records. It could be at your friend circle level, or it could be at the college level, university level, or the company level. You are keeping track of every activity that's happening in sport or the game, and you keep a track of that. That is the fun part of sports, because that's where it makes it competitive, and it teaches you how what you did wrong, how do you analyze the situation, how do you do it. Leaders are born out of this. So this is the fun part of the sports. Sports industry is distributed into three big sectors that I call. One is the public sector, professional sports, and non-profit sector. Non-profit sector is something which is helping the sports to grow with the CSR activity at the grassroots level. Public sector is where the government gets involved, or the big corporates are getting involved to develop that sport. Professional sports is something we are talking about, particular sports which get developed, like golf, tennis. They are sports which are professional sports that people get develop the whole ecosystem in that. But at the end of it, you have to understand one thing: the sports is the whole environment of sports is around one single entity that's called athlete. It's a player. It has to be understood pretty well. So you could be a player. You are working with a player, working for a player. You may be a parent of a player who is in your house. So you have to understand the overall system, what that player needs. And the moment you understand what that player needs, you are actually building the whole ecosystem uh, of sport that you need. So let's start with something which is very simple to start with. You're talking about coaching. The player needs coaching. It could be skill wise, strength wise, stamina wise, speed wise. Like I'm talking about the four A's of sports, right? Then it could be mental coaching. It could be coaching related to how you look at certain situations differently. How do you perform in certain? So it's a technical, non-technical kind of coaching. That is one industry that we have in sports. The addition, the natural progression of that industry goes into the whole nutrition diet. We have to understand this nutrition diet plays a big role when we are actually talking about an athlete. It is right set of what you're eating, how do you eat, when do you eat, uh, for what particular part. So you need to educate that athlete about the whole sport and what that athlete body is. At the same time, align that with the coach's training plan and what the person can do. We are talking about the next part to athlete. Let's start with the basic thing. We're talking about grassroots. The grassroots industry is so big, it because that is the industry where every athlete gets ready. You're talking about the academies, you're talking about training centers, you're talking about school having the sports school activity. So all is academy related. For that, what you need infrastructure, you need coaches. So we spoke about coaches, then we spoke about the grassroots. In the grassroots, at the grassroots level, we talk about infrastructure. We are talking about technology which is going to support these activities. So then we also talk about the event side of it, because then the, at the grassroots level you have to give more and more exposure to the athlete or the team to play more and have more and more game time. Only training is not going to help. You have to look at the whole game time. So we are looking at that. Beyond that, we are talking about say now let's expand the whole technology model. In technology, we are talking about technology which is going to support the athlete development, the technology which is going to support the analysis, which is going to have the data based on which the athlete needs to develop himself or herself. We are talking about something like wearables, right? This is a technology which helps you. There are something like non-intrusive variables which goes under the mattress and which tracking the whole performance, or how not performance, I'll say how the vitals are showing when you are asleep, because that's the only time when your body is recovering. So that is also a very important aspect for you to understand what you are. Then we are talking about fitness and wellness industry, because that is where the whole we have to look at the well-being of an athlete. We have to look at the fitness of the athlete. The coaches are playing that, but there's a whole industry which works along with that. We have to look at how do you do athlete management. When the moment you nurture that, if you know the talent, you nurture that talent. From that talent you make them an athlete. From that athlete you make them into a celebrity. There's a whole ecosystem from athlete management to talent management to celebrity management that can happen around a player. Again, we are talking about typical operations which are required in the sports industry around, again the athlete, right? Because of athlete there are games, because of athlete there are events, because of athlete there's other activity happening. So there's operations which is required, which has got finance part to it, which has got administration part to it, which has got accounting. So the whole, even HR plays a big role in the whole activity. So talking about the operation industry. Uh, Now from here we talk about the event. We'll go into event little more. We talk about university sports like Khelo India or youth games and or national games. We are talking about the university sports. From there we talk about the professional sports like IPL, ISL, Kabaddi. There are multiple leagues which are happening. So we are talking about those aspects. That also comes under the whole event industry. When you look at that, then there's a whole segment of event industry that we'll be talking in another separate segment, where what the event industry is all about. But I'm just trying to touch upon those topics, which is like talking about operations, hospitality, fan engagement, sponsorship, finance, operation. There's a whole lot of gamut in every industry that we talk about. From there, I think one of the most important thing when it comes to the whole player and the surrounding thing is the marketing and sponsorship, or the branding. So how do you market an athlete? So there is, or how do you market an event? Because you need to have money in the system to make sure that is a event which is sustainable. You're not always looking for profits. Yes, profits are required, but I'm saying first thing you have to understand what the sustainability is. Understand at the athlete level, the athlete needs to be sustainable. At the event level, the event has to be sustainable. At academy level, the academy has to be sustainable. So we are talking about the whole sustainability of sports, which can happen because of the right set of marketing and activities that we can do. uh, just simple way of explaining what the again other parts of ecosystem where we're talking about. Let's understand, everybody understand what league is, right? Let's take an example of IPL. In IPL, we are talking about, uh, the Hotstar and Star has got media rights. Then we are talking about, earlier it was Vivo, now it is Baiju. Before that was Pepsi, or it was DLF. So there are multiple players who got involved as brand at the league level, at the time the brand at the team level. Then you're talking about having clubs or the franchises like CSK, Mumbai Indian, the Delhi Capitals, RCB. So they are all clubs. So those clubs also have their own players. They have their own brands. Then we're talking about fans, who plays the biggest role after the athlete, because the moment there is an athlete, there is a game. The moment there is a game, there is a fan, and you have to get the fan involved. So this is the high level side of the whole commercial side of sports and the ecosystem of the sport, because every part has got their own aspects. uh, but all these activities are interlinked, and again there will be one another say, we can have the discussion later about the whole commercialization of sports, what it is. So we need to understand what the sports industry is. We need to understand how we look at sports as a game. So to summarize, sports industry is all about player and ecosystem of the player, from the coaches to food, nutrition, diet, events, operations, talent management, marketing, sponsorships. Yeah, so these are the aspects and few more as well, right? It can go on and on. So these are the aspects that we are talking about as a sports industry, and at the end of it, the whole industry works on passion, liking, and fun element. So make sure that we all enjoy that industry, and yes, make more and more athletes, support more and more athletes, and make sure that we grow this as an industry. So once again, thank you guys. Thank you from Sportsy. Let's talk sports, and your comments welcome. Thank you.